Hey folks, Dan from D&N Custom Creations. Again, been a little while. I don't make videos very often and don't really have a lot to share, but I wanted to show you a few little projects that I've been working on. I think are pretty interesting. Some you might be able to adapt to some of the things that you're doing. So let's start. I've got a Brookstone Grill that a customer brought me, and show you some pictures that come off a website. It's basically, here's what it looks like when it's stock. It's a nice heavy flat top grill, but it basically just had some legs underneath it, and the tank mounts on the outside, as you can see in the picture, and it has a little bit of a shelf. And so the customer asked me if I would do a little custom cabinet, put some drawers in it, and mount the tank inside, etc. So I'll show you how that thing has turned out. You'll probably pick it up tomorrow. All right, so I'm going to turn this thing around and we'll take a look. Okay, so here is the product that I built. The gentleman, he wanted me to enclose it in and create some drawers and a couple other little things. I've not really built anything like this before, so I've struggled a little bit trying to figure out how to do it, but I'm pretty happy with the end product. So let's take a little bit of look. Let's look around the back side first. All of the panels, the side panels, the door panels, the back panel here, they were all cut out on the plasma table, and there are some detail, like for instance right in here where I had to actually have the plasma table cut out, a little slot there, and so it worked good. It did a real good job. Point out a little tray here on the back that'll come into be pertinent here in a minute when I talk about a little tray that he asked me to build. I guess that's for the grease that comes off of the top of the grill. A couple of things, the wheels, because I had to make it wider so that we could put the tank on the inside, I had to extend those wheels out. Those are, that's 1/4 inch material, and I actually used the plasma table to cut that out because there's a slot in there that goes around a 1x2 rectangular tubing that comes up. In fact, it's like this. And so I had to cut this out with the plasma cutter and then welded on both sides of it, and then also made the triangular support for that. Let's go around the front and take a look at the doors. It's just a single panel door, and all of the panels on this thing are 24 gauge galvanized. Try and minimize any, some of the corrosion issues that might come up. It's been powder coated, so that should help, but everywhere you drill a hole or the edge where you've cut on the plasma torch, obviously there's that galvanized is gone. So hopefully the powder coat will help keep that from corrosion. We'll see. Here's the drawers that are made. The top drawer is a 4 inch, allows about 4 inch clearance. The bottom is a little lower, so it gives you about an 8 inch clearance. And then there's the original shelf I had to modify and put in there so it keeps his, the serial number, model number, etc. in there. And it gives him another additional shelf, and it will come out. So the drawers are all on stainless drawer slides. If I don't have the wheels locked, it rolls really easy. I want to mention here that he wanted me to build another little tray that goes on the back, and he wanted it to have a hose bib, and so I believe what he wants to do is wash down the grill and then run it through a hose and let the hose drain, maybe somewhere remotely instead of just filling this thing up. So made that for him. That again also was cut out on the plasma cutter and then bent on a pan and box brake, and then the corners are welded so that there's no leakage or anything like that except through the drain. So that's the 8 inch drawer. There's a 4 inch drawer, and I've put some rubber in the bottom, try and keep it from scratching up the powder coat. On the other side where the tank will go, they're just magnet latches that hold the door closed. this is where the tank will go, and it came with a paper towel holder. I could not figure out how to integrate that into this current design, so I just basically built him a paper towel holder and mounted that to the door, and that still allows room for the tank in there. And the same thing, I've put rubber down to when you slide that tank in there, so hopefully you're not scratching up the material. That material is actually 16 gauge, a little heavier obviously than the 24 gauge because you're going to have a tank sitting on it. And there's also a 1-inch square metal tube in the middle to provide you the supports necessary. All right. So pretty happy with the way it turned out. Hope the customer's happy. He's supposed to come pick it up tomorrow afternoon, I believe. So I wanted to get a little video of that so you could see what that looked like. All right, we'll move on to another little project just finished actually here about 20 minutes ago. Okay, if you use a gas torch for any kind of fabrication, you know that sometimes you're trying to work on something, you want your hand free while you have the torch running, you want to be able to set it down. Well, the problem is if you set it down just on the table, a lot of times the knobs, the gas flow knobs get bumped and it changes your flow, and it's a real pain in the butt. And you don't want it obviously laid down to where it's igniting anything like a rag or etc. So I finally got tired of screwing around with it, and I made up a little basically torch holder. So that's the way it sits, and by coming up through the knobs can't be adjusted, can't be bumped, and this can't turn, so the torch is always at least facing up. I guess you could probably turn it this way. I mean, if you had it where you weren't going to burn anything, so it can go either way. But for what I normally do, I'll probably just let it set in like that. So it's just made up. I cut the bottom 1/4-inch plate on the plasma cutter, and I think that's a 1/2-inch piece of just regular pipe. And then I had a little piece of the stuff I made the door frame out of, which was 1/2-inch 16 gauge square tubing. I cut a little piece of that, bent a little piece of wire, a 1/4-inch and into a U, and then took a little piece of 1/2-inch and welded it so that it goes up through that part of the torch. And obviously just painted it black a little bit. Didn't even bother wearing powder coat because it's going to get all scratched up. All right, so that's another project. And then also finally, a customer asked me to make these rings. They basically go around a piece of pipe that are part of table legs, and they're just decoration. But he said that he used to be able to get these and can't find a distributor anymore, so he wanted to know if I could fabricate those. Well, I took one and I bent a 1/2-inch rod, round rod, welded it together, and then I stuck it in the lathe and bored out the center part so that it was the right diameter. So that was a real pain. And I told him, I said, if he wanted them, I had to do it that way. That was going to be a little bit expensive. So I started looking around and I found this material, which is 1/2-inch rod that's basically in half. It's called half round, I guess. And just, I think it's 836, just some, mild steel, etc. And so then I'm was able to use that, bend them up, use the torch. In fact, that's what started this whole thing. I was using the torch to make the ends so that they flush, because when you're bending it, obviously you can't make that round part unless you go all the way around or whatever. So I would just put it around a round piece and heat it up. You hammer it down a little bit and close the end, and then weld it up. And so that was the process that led to this problem with the torch, where it was always falling off the table or scaring me half to death that I was going to burn something. It was, making those things. So, made him 4. He's going to come by, pick them up, and we'll see how many he may want. There still adds up, because by the time you get the material and the shipping costs and all that kind of thing, it starts to add up. So if he wanted enough where the shipping doesn't change too much, if you order, quite a number of these, if you order one piece, it's like $25 to ship that thing. It's only 3 feet long. Well, I can get 6-foot long pieces, up to like 10 for $30 shipping. So if he wants that many, then obviously the price would come down significantly. All right, I think that's it. We'll keep you posted if I got any other projects coming. Appreciate your time. Dan from D&N Custom Creations.